Okay, EffOrt coming down with his mutas. There's another engineering bay coming up just for extra upgrades. And let's see what EffOrt tries to do. He's going into the main. Going to be met by a couple of turrets. He's going to try to take down one of the turrets. Takes down one. Snipes an SCV that was building a supply depot. He might run into a ton of troops, though. Fantasy, he has his Marines down here. The Marines intercepting the mutas. Oh, I think of 3 or 4 mutas went down in that attack. So a nice intercept from Fantasy, making sure the mutas can't kill any more SCVs at the natural, at least. But yeah, Fantasy is kind of losing a few troops, but he's going to need some way to harass EffOrt, since EffOrt went for this base so quickly, getting so many drones up, and he's going to be able to take down a 4th base pretty soon, and not much Fantasy's going to be able to do about that. He's getting a tank out, getting more upgrades for his medic and Marines, but yeah, he's got to go out. He had the right idea, going out with a fire bat, trying to use as few troops as possible, get as much economic damage as he can with as few troops as possible. Coming up, trying to destroy the Mutalist troop, and EffOrt's probably going to have a much harder time getting economic harassment now, despite the fact that he's still throwing in mutas, replenishing his muta troop. It's going to be tough for him to fight off upgraded Marines. Stemmed upgraded Marines is going to be very difficult. So he is switching to Lurkers. I see Hydra's coming out, so he's going straight for a Lurker tech, throwing down another hatchery up there at the 2 o'clock base. So he's going to try to put on the contain and keep Fantasy from moving out. Snipes 2 medics. That's pretty huge. Now he might be able to go in and snipe even more Marines, since there are no medics to protect them. Scourge coming out to intercept some initial science vessels, I think. So this could be absolutely horrible for Fantasy if he gets Scourge inside of his base. Sniping of the first science vessel could be huge. The science vessel moving out. One science vessel, second science vessel coming out. Oh, the science vessel almost goes down, but Fantasy, very good micro there, protects his science vessel with his medic and Marine troop. A lot of Lurkers coming in for EffOrt, and the bad thing about this map for anyone other than Zerg is there are 2 little areas, 2 roadways basically, that the Zerg can run around. If you go up one roadway, the bottom roadway, which Fantasy is trying to do, EffOrt will just go through the top runway and go down into the natural expansion with all of his troops being scouted by Fantasy, though, so Fantasy at least knows this is coming. He knows that the troops are up there, but he's kind of fanning all over the place, trying to find EffOrt's troops. And once EffOrt attacks, he's going to have to fan those Marines out, because EffOrt, he has a huge troop of Lurkers. He has all of his mutas with his Lurkers, so he's going to come in with yeah, he's coming right down the map looking for Fantasy's troops. Not really committing to an attack yet, though. He might be waiting for some backup troops before he tries to attack. And if he attacks the front, he's going to be in danger of a pincer himself. The backup troops coming in from Fantasy are going to be able to pincer EffOrt in. But EffOrt's still sticking at 3 bases for the moment, so Fantasy is safe as far as heavy macro goes for EffOrt. But yeah, he should get some economic damage done. Sunken coming down inside of the main, curiously enough, just in case Fantasy goes for a vulture drop, I think. But another command center being built, so Fantasy is going to get his 3rd base up, but he's playing very defensively. He doesn't want to fall into a huge lurker trap. And I think he's researching siege mode, so he can go out, destroy the Lurkers, and be able to move up to the natural expansion of EffOrt. Some more Scourge coming in, but those Scourge are not going to be able to land on the vessels. Pretty huge troop on the ground from Fantasy, but both these guys are extremely good at getting out copious amounts of troops. More troops than they should legally be able to get out, but science vessels coming up, irradiating and sieging of those Lurkers, so Fantasy is going to be able to break the top, but EffOrt has positioned some troops down at the bottom, too, the bottom roadway, that he'll be able to come in and do a pincer attack. I mean, as soon as Fantasy moves out through one roadway, I think EffOrt's going to come up from the other side, go a pincer, and try to kill Fantasy that way. But Fantasy has so many medic Marines, he might be able to do this. EffOrt coming in with all of his troops. This could be a huge attack from EffOrt. There's a D-matrix of the one tank. I'm not sure if Fantasy's going to be able to fight this off, though. The Lurker's kind of out of position, but Fantasy coming in. Fantasy being whittled down. All of his troops going down. He has a couple of tanks there just to help him out, but both sides lost a lot in that engagement. I think Fantasy lost a little bit more than he wanted to by clumping up his medic and Marines, but he still has troops. And in the meantime, it looks like EffOrt had taken the 10 o'clock base with, yeah, he's throwing down a hatchery up there. So finally going for his 4th base, he's going to try to get that up and running, and that is what Fantasy has to stop from happening. He can't let EffOrt have complete map maneuverability like this. Maneuverability over both roadways, not good. Rolling up, there's a couple of backup troops coming up the map, but really might not be enough to break through this, especially with all these lurkers morphing. Oh, more lurkers coming in, being spotted by Fantasy and sieged. He unseizes his tanks. He's going to move up a little bit more. Dropping, actually, at the 10 o'clock base. He's dropping all of his Marines into this area. But if I were him, I would wait until that hatchery comes up. I think he is going to wait. No, he's not waiting, allowing EffOrt to cancel the hatchery. That could be huge. Probably should have waited till that hatchery popped and then killed it. But still, he managed to stop that hatchery from coming up, so it's definitely some damage. Defiler mound coming up, and if EffOrt doesn't get a 4th base, he might not be able to support defilers for long. Coming up with his circling, getting rid of that troop, and I think he's going to try to expand there again. Going down, being drilled through by Fantasy, finding the lurkers, killing them, and making sure lurkers can't harass that newest base from Fantasy. Fantasy's newest base came down at the 8 o'clock position.